Hello, I'm Todd Phillips, the editor of Canadian Auto Dealer. We're here today with Patrick Roosenberg. He's a director of Auto Finance with JD Power. Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I look forward to it.
Well, we're going to talk today about the JD Power 2020 Canada Dealer Finance Satisfaction Study. Now, this is an annual study where JD Power talks to dealers and find out what they think of the lenders and their captives. So, at a high level, tell us about some of this year's findings.
Well, as we see every year, it continues to be relationship driven. The lenders and providers that do really well have developed strong relationships with their dealers to support through good times and through the more difficult times, especially in what we're facing now with the current pandemic.
Okay, and so you rank them. The study ranks them really in terms of satisfaction, both in the captive and in the banks. So tell us about the performers who are at the top tier that are doing really well. What is it they're doing well that those that want to move up the ranks need to emulate?
Sure. What we look at too is we look at captive, non-captive retail, and we also look at the lease segment, which was new this year. So we have a lease award in 2020. What we continue to see year after year, and what these top performers like TDAF does really well, is they develop relationships with their dealers. They continue to support them throughout the year. They have a consistent product. They excel in the processing aspect as well. So it's looking at it from both a relationship and a process standpoint. The dealers know what to expect from these lenders, and it's consistent. Dealers know what to expect. And that's really important. Dealers understand what their lenders do and what that lender's value proposition, and then the execution of that value proposition.
Well, we were talking earlier, and you said there's some changes to this year's study from previous years. Tell us a bit about that.
Right. What we wanted to do is continue to focus and provide actionable items back to the lenders. They say this is important. So we added a funding section this year, and it's one of the most heavily weighted what we call factors in the study. So when lenders do really well in the funding process, it really entices the dealers to send that lender business. Right. So one other aspect we added also, as I talked about earlier, was the lease segment, because that's specific to non-cap, to the captive world and some lease companies. We really wanted to understand is the difference in performance on that specific segment. So we added that. Another great thing we added this year were a couple of verbatim questions. What we always try to find out is what generates incremental business. Can a sales rep or retail credit analyst, outside of buying deeper or changing the credit policy, really garner incremental business from dealers? And we found out for the most part they can. And we asked dealers specifically, what does drive incremental business? And we captured that this year. So it provides a lot of competitive intelligence back to our clients.
Well, that's good to know. I'm sure all the sales reps out there are going to want to figure out exactly what they need to keep doing to generate more business. And also, things have changed even from the time you conducted the study. It was pre-pandemic, but nonetheless, there were factors that lenders are going to have to adapt to better serve dealers post-pandemic. Obviously, more digital buyers, agility, speed, all the things that we're watching going on. Tell us a bit about how you think these trends are going to shape out, going forward in the lending dealer relationship.
Sure. We had the study in field in early February. So obviously that was pre-pandemic. I mean, it was starting, but the dealers were still open and functioning. What we have seen previously is that there's this great demand that's becoming greater to have digital interactions, right? Whether it's from the dealer to the lender or from the consumer through the dealer to purchase vehicles or lease a vehicle. So the pandemic has really just heightened that and just really put a lot of force behind creating those channels quickly. And the other aspect of that is the training, right? The dealers have to know how to use those digital channels and to sell cars, to fund, to get funding, credit applications. And that's really where the sales rep is going to come into play more so, is training on technology and sales training specific to those channels. That's only going to grow. The demand was there pre-COVID, and once those channels continue to develop, they're just going to grow exponentially, because that's what the consumer is demanding.
Well, it's interesting. We've been interviewing an awful lot of dealers across the country, and they are keeping tabs on which of their suppliers are giving them breaks during this pandemic, which ones are communicating with them, which ones are recognizing the pain they're feeling, and they're keeping score, I guess, as they would.
Right.
And they're really making note of who's there for them through this. So
Right.
I guess for the lenders, it's equally important for them to maintain that level of service during this to keep that business going forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going to look from lenders is how are you supporting me during this difficult time, right? How are you helping me sell cars when I'm open? You know, if I'm having some digital transactions, if they're going onto my site, filling out a credit application, how that stuff is being processed. How are you helping me? It's easy to help me when it's a good time and everybody's buying cars and leasing cars, but how are you helping when that is really dwindled to almost no sales in some cases, right? How are you preparing me for when this starts to open up, and how do we? There's some challenges here. How do you help me overcome these challenges as my lending partner? And those lenders that do that provide that level of support will get that dealer's business back. We see it in the verbatims. They want you to go above and beyond, and it's beyond pricing. It's really how are you helping me execute more business, right? And once I develop that with you, you're there helping me sell more cars. Even if there is a price difference, I'm going to send you that business because you're there supporting me in every aspect.
Well, that's great. That's a great recap of the high level, the survey findings, the actual rankings themselves. We publish in an article on Canadian Auto Dealers. So for those who are watching this video interview, want to see where all the banks and the lenders ranked, we publish some of the charts from your study there. So Patrick, thanks for joining us today.
Great. No, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Signing off.